Today I'm chatting with Justin Gaethje. Man, you had 20 knockouts we see in your professional career? Mostly
25
knockouts,
wins,
25 wins,
20 knockouts.
80% of people going to sleep.
I'm pretty proud of that one.
That's a hell of a statistic. I don't think too many people can compete with that.
The only one I'm more proud of that will never be beat is 9 bonuses in your first 7 UFC fights.
No shit.
No one will ever match that.
That's amazing. You're interim champion for some time.
Interim.
You fought every tough guy in your weight division. Beat off a lot of them.
All my losses to former champions. Yeah, I jumped in the deep end. Michael Johnson, number 5, 2017. That was actually why, I was a free agent, Bellator, UFC, wanted to go to UFC. Bellator offered a lot of money. UFC says, we'll offer you good money, opportunity to fight top 5 right away. I knew that was where I could go. I knew the $50,000 bonuses were available, and I knew the way I fought, I would get those, and got 9 in my first 7.
Not to get distracted from you, but I thought at one time that I might have to fight Michael Johnson myself. I was at his gym. I was at the Killcliff gym, Henry Hoof's gym, and I was training with Tyrone Spong, so we were doing like a private one-on-one, and he's like, let me get you some gloves. All right. And so he grabs some random gloves, brings them to me, and we mess around for a minute, and then Michael Johnson's looking for his gloves, and he's like, hey man, where'd you get those gloves?
You got this?
He wasn't happy about it because he thought, fair enough, some random dudes in his gym, or more or less, and he's like, his gloves are missing and I'm wearing them, so, what's he going to think about that? And I'm like, oh, Tyrone gave them to me. And I'm like, are they yours? He's like, those are my gloves. He wasn't mad about it.
No, he's a cool dude.
He laughed about it then. No, he's a nice guy.
I've met a couple of Michael Johnsons, a couple different ones, so never know.
Gotcha. So you started off, you got 9 bonuses and 7 fights is a hell of a thing. But you got an amazing fighting style, and people love the way that you fight. That like you're not trying to be overly conservative. You're a hell of a showman.
I'm competing.
Yeah.
People call me a showman, but I'm honestly not being a showman. I'm not making a choice to be spectacular or to make people feel that that adrenaline rush that they get when they watch me fight. But just the way I've competed since I was a kid, through wrestling, football, baseball, even the boring stuff I made exciting. So it's just who I am.
I think to elaborate on that, that is like what's special about it is there's plenty of people that like to talk a lot of shit and try to create some fake hype around their name.
Yeah.
And I think you sincerely are that person, and the audience sees that and feels that,
Yep.
which created your reputation.
Yeah, I think that's a huge part of why I've been, people have resonated so well with me. Not so. What we do is, fighting in general is, everybody understands it. Everybody comes from it. Everybody has it in them, in moments. And so I think that's why our fan base is so passionate about, the support system that they bring. And then, they see, humans recognize effort. I've been saying it since, I first got here, and I give max effort every time I'm in there. And I think that's, a good reason why people, respect me. I've earned the respect of my peers, which is something I'm proud of, and it's been a fun ride.
What got you started originally? When was the first thought in your brain where you're like, I think this MMA thing would be great?
So when I was a real young kid, probably 92, 93, 94, 95, my dad would put it on, when they had the no rules. He would get, it was on pay-per-view, he had a little black box, he would steal it, and he'd put it on. I just remember as a kid, seeing Tank Abbott. I remember seeing just the craziest fights, and being, I got involved in wrestling at 4 years old. So from that time on, I was absolutely in love with wrestling, competing, one-on-one situations. I loved all sports. Thank God my parents let me play all sports. But when I saw fighting, I was like, that's awesome. So I, started watching it. 2002, tough. I'm probably in 7th or 8th grade. Watched, super into that season. I remember that pretty vividly. And then just being a fan from that point on, watching the UFC grow. Through high school, I remember, being broke as shit in college, sitting down at Buffalo Wild Wings for 6-8 hours, ordering water and one meal, and, really ruining that server's night. But that, I was in love with the sport, and I just watched it, passionately through growing up. And then when I was in college, some UFC fighters, Cub Swanson, George St. Pierre, Donald Cerrone, Keith Jardine, Shane Carwin came to our wrestling practice at University of Northern Colorado. My coach Trevor, has a gym up there, so they were all coming there to train, and they came to wrestle with us and just join our wrestling practice. Met these guys, Donald Cerrone, met these guys, and I saw that they were normal people, and they weren't. You never know what something takes until you kind of understand it. And I thought that they were something bigger and better and more special than I could be. And so I met them. They were normal people. I did well against them in wrestling. And so I told my coaches I wanted to take a fight in the summer. And they told me if I got my grades up that I would I would take a fight. Got my grades up, and then for the next, 2008, August probably of that year, I took my first MMA fight. Me and one roommate took a fight. He got knocked out right before me. He had been in a bunch of street fights. I had never been in a street fight in my whole life. Never been punched, never thrown a punch. And so I was like, I'm a wrestler, I just love to compete. And I slammed the dude 26 seconds, made him pee himself. He was asleep for like 4 or 5 minutes, and I was in love. That's how I started.
It's a hell of a story.
Yeah.
Fell asleep and peed himself.
He was out. Yeah, he was out. My parents did not like it, but it's their fault I do this. So
I'm happy I haven't had that experience yet.
Same.
I've never been slammed that hard.
Same. My first amateur fight, slam knockout. First pro fight, slam knockout. Yeah. I was just a wrestler. I had no idea how to punch, get punched. My fifth amateur fight, I got dropped, and I was like, I got to figure out what's going on here. So Shane Carwin lived in Greeley, Colorado. It was when he was leading up to this fight with Brock Lesnar. He would drive down from Greeley to Denver 3 or 4 times a week. Twice a week, he would let me jump in his truck, and I would drive down with him to train at where Trevor's at now. Yeah. So that's how I found a gym. Got done, had 7 amateur fights through college. Got done with wrestling, and I was like, I'm going to try to turn pro. Turned pro, and then I won my first 18 fights. I was fighting Eddie Alvarez on a pay-per-view. It's been a fun ride.
So you've been with the same coach forever, Trevor, for 15 years, something like this?
Yep. Yeah, I started, again, going down there twice a week. He'd give me drills to go home with. Then I, was done. So I moved down to Denver, started training at his gym. He co-signed for an apartment that I shit the bed on, couldn't pay for, had to move out. But yeah, he really put a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of faith that his hard work would pay off, and, it did, thank God.
I never met Trevor, but I'm aware of who he is, and I've seen him at events different times.
Yeah.
And I don't remember what city it is, you'll remember, but there was a night where I think you and Kamaru and Rose were all on the same card,
City,
and everybody won. Is that Madison Square Garden a couple of years ago?
Yeah, 2019.
Yeah, I think it must be 21 or something, 2021, something like that.
Yeah, I think it was 21.
Yeah, I think all of you won. Everybody,
your
whole team won.
That was a great night.
Yeah. Yeah, that must be a hell of a night. I seen him
was.
blown. I thought that must be the happiest guy in the world right now.
100%.
To see.
3 for 3.
Yeah.
Don't get better than that.
Yeah, good for you. Good for him as well, man. How much of a learning curve was that? So you kind of were, I don't want to say born into wrestling, but you started so early that that must come extremely natural. How much of a learning curve was to just start picking up, striking and jiu-jitsu and other elements?
Yeah, as I said earlier, I was really fortunate that my parents didn't make me stick. Even though I was so in love with wrestling, they didn't just make me wrestle. I was the quarterback of the high school football team. I was a pitcher. I played soccer. I was on the swim team. I never did one sport all year round. Every season I was doing something different. And I think my ability to be an athlete is why I have made it as far as I have. Wrestling, the wrestling part is, the inside my soul, my spirit, my my mind, the ability to persevere and stick it out through the thick shit that wrestling is. But yeah, I don't know. It's been crazy. I don't even know what the hell I was talking about.
So you think you're already you're very well-rounded athlete or
So
athletic in general?
I think my athletic ability, then my coach he comes from the boxing world. My athletic ability is what allowed me to become such a, Well-rounded striker, when I had never, ever thrown a punch in my life when I had met my coach. So, yeah, I think that's, and then my wrestling, my best ability and asset in a wrestling match was the ability to make them tired, move forward, break them with position. I was never a great offensive wrestler. It was once I was able to break their spirit, then I could get their head down, and then take my shots, a lot of upper body stuff. But I was very hard to take down. And, so I, really worked hard on my skills to fight, to be on my feet, and then, relied on my defensive wrestling skills that I've had, since I was a kid to be who I am.
Gotcha. Yeah, I've trained enough, nothing like you have, obviously, but I got a brown belt under Jake Shields in jiu-jitsu, and I have my black belt next year, I think. Striking's good. If I fight a normal dude my size, he's gonna have a bad day. But if I had to fight a UFC guy my size, I'm gonna have a bad day.
How long can you do it for? That's the question. Everyone can fight. It's just how long can you fight for? It's so exhausting. And then you can't fight when you're tired. I don't care how strong, how tough, how dumb, how smart, how good. Don't matter. You can't breathe.
What you were saying about your ability to maintain your energy and wear out your opponent, Rich Franklin put that in my head like early in my training. He came over for half a week to help me out. And he's like, when you talk about your cardio is like, yeah, you'll fix your cardio over time, because at that time I didn't have great cardio, and it's better now. But he's like, if you just change your thinking a little bit, instead of getting tired in 3 minutes, you'll get tired in 7 minutes. And think about your body placement and energy management better. He's like, you're a big guy. Anytime you're putting weight on somebody, you're winning. That you're making them carry your weight. You're making them more fatigued. You're getting ahead over time. Might not feel like it in the moment, but you are. So he's like, just focus on finding those little few seconds to rest, put pressure.
Yeah, gain momentum.
There are a lot of tough people that, a lot of UFC people, a lot of champions that had that strong wrestling background. And Henry Cejudo's, I've trained with him a few times. He's come and stayed with me, and I picked up some things from Henry and Tito Ortiz, Mike Chandler. So yeah, there's a ton of people that it seems like wrestling's a thing that has a lot of grit and tenacity built into the culture of what you guys do.
It's one of the best.
Great foundation.
Not sure if it's the best, but it's one of the best. I don't know. I think the Sambo. I think, we grapple from a young age, but we do not ever see submissions. These kids are wrestling and seeing submissions from a young age. Judo, Sambo. So, I mean, I'm not saying they're better, but they're up there. They're right there with wrestling.
What was the psychological motivation? You said, this shit looks cool on TV, and I'm going to put in the work, go get a few amateur fights, and you just went with it? You start being around that culture of, had a great coach, had some other mentors and teammates, and...
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Honestly, I mean, I never thought that this would be a career or something that I was doing, as a job. I loved it. I loved competing. I started wrestling from such a young age. I love sports. I love competing, and this was just another way to compete. And I knew that I was never good enough at wrestling to try and go to the Olympics or wrestle on the world level, and so this was my way to keep competing. It looked fun, and then I just kept winning. And then once I kept winning, it's always been one at a time. When I got paid 5 and 5, I thought I was rich. And I was broke really fast. And I got paid 20 and 20. I thought I was rich. Next fight, I was broke. Made these mistakes, things that you learn, along the way. And then, really started, getting to like 12-0, 13-0. Got the World Series of Fighting belt. Started making, 50 and 50 where I wasn't running out of money, even though I was still being a dumbass. And then, really, I was kind of glad that I kind of went through that process instead of going straight to the UFC, and somehow getting paid, $200-300 for my first big check. I think that would have been probably not a good thing. So yeah, it's good. I think I like when kids ask, or when teammates ask me what route, I think my route was a very good route. Build your name up, make someone else pay you, good money, 50, 80, 100, and then when you come to the UFC, they have to pay you that. You don't want to start in 12-12 here, and so that's the way I did it, and the way I think a lot of kids should aim to take.
What are your thoughts going forward? you had your BMF fight recently at UFC 300. So there's that belt up in the air in the future again, maybe. There's a lot of people that like to see that rematch. You're always at the top. You're always fighting the top guys, and probably not so far away from another title shot in the future.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty simple. It's probably not a good thing sometimes, but really I haven't put a whole lot of thought. I think, time is such a crazy thing, and as time goes on, all these different fights happen. I just got knocked out, so I'm not trying to jump in there and put myself right back in there. I would like, I'm enjoying my time off. I'm enjoying, letting my body rest and really getting the itch to get back in there and compete again. That's nice to feel again. It's starting to come on strong. But yeah, I think obviously I need to win one more time. But, if I was, obviously I sit there and think about it a little bit. I think first, best case, farthest fetch scenario, Sarukian gets hurt, I get to jump in there for a late replacement fight for the belt. Second and third option would be Volkanovski, Oliveira. Those are my three. In my mind, those are three options. Not top three, I'm not sure. That's just, if I'm throwing shit at a wall, that's what sticks, for now.
Volkanovski at 45 or 55?
55.
I think so.
He ain't fighting for the belt. He has nowhere else, no one else to fight. He's a huge name, such a legend in the sport. I think he's about ready to move up, join the big boys. Even though I just got knocked out by a 45er, so I can't really say that, but you know what I mean.
People don't understand that. What are you walking around at, like 190-ish?
No, yeah, shit. Right now I might be. I've been in Vegas for 3 days. I think I was sitting around 184. I'm trying not to get too big. I know I'm gonna have to be in the best shape of my life again in the future, so I'm trying to not let that go too far.
Yeah, so I think some people maybe don't understand that the weight cuts that you guys do.
Everyone I've ever
tough.
told the process, they're flabbergasted. There's no doubt about it. No one can understand.
Yeah, I mean, if I was a fighter, which I'm 45 years old, and I should have started 20 years earlier if that was something I wanted to do seriously. But I'd be in heavyweight, obviously, so I don't have to deal with that. But man, that looks tough. That looks like the worst part. I don't mind training long hours. I don't mind all the other shit.
Yeah,
but
the
weight cut looks rough to me.
Another thing that coming from a grappling background, obviously helps. I've done this for a long time. I know how bad it sucks. I knew how bad it sucked a long time ago. So, I mean, it's just, you feel like you're going to die, but you just got to keep pushing it. Yeah, I would not recommend it. It's unsustainable. Don't do it. Ever.
Don't start this career. It's unsustainable. Don't do it.
I wouldn't recommend this to my enemy. I love it. I would not choose any other life, but no.
Do you think about other income streams? You have other business involvement or investments?
I'm working on that now. Obviously, I have an investment team. I have a CPA, and they all kind of work together. Always looking for just with me and 3 other people just purchased 3 ski and snowboard shops in Winter Park, Colorado. So I'm really excited about that one. Just bought a house in Arizona. But yeah, things like that. Onyx Sports. We make MMA equipment, which me and Trevor's the founder. I'm one of the founders as well. So that's what takes up most of my time. I'm in the office, quite a bit. That's where my gym is, but then I get to be in the office when I'm there. So
those multitasking things are great.
Yeah. I'm trying to create a passive income, while I fight, and then when I'm done, figure it out. I love golf. So I'm going to try to create enough passive income to find something, a glove, some tees, anything in the golf world that makes me have to be there at the golf course to work.
I love those synergies. I spent my life thinking about business things, and I grew up poor and I hated it, and I felt like I needed to fix that.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it was, a lot of guess and check and trial and error and plenty of mistakes, especially when I was young. And things turned out very well financially over time. And I was like 40. I was fat. I was like 300 pounds. I was strong, but I was like 300 pounds.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, you had more money than you ever thought you'd have at this age, and did very well in investments and entrepreneurial things.
Yeah, it's
and
nice.
so I thought,
Different.
well, I'm not the type of guy that's going to be like on a treadmill or something to like trying to burn some calories. I thought, all right, I guess the fighting
Jiu-jitsu.
stuff. Yeah, exactly.
Great
So
way. I
then,
tell everybody, any kind of martial art is such a good way to stay in shape, have fun, stay in shape. You don't have to compete.
in less than 3 years, and I never went on a diet. And yeah, I stress that to them. Like, I never went on a diet. I never talked about a diet. I just like just started training, and then
Just have fun.
thankfully I had access to a lot of really great people that helped me out. That from the very beginning had Jake Shields helping me with grappling, and Paulie Maldonado helping me with boxing, and
Yeah, nice.
then Chandler was over, and Tito and Chuck and a bunch of other people that I had already known. And then over time, you get introduced to other people and other people. So I had like 30 amazing coaches that come stay with me for 4 or 5 days at a time and train, a few hours a day, weightlifting. So I still got to eat what I want, but over time, you'd see little things that like, Rich Franklin or Lyoto Machida, they're a little older than me, and 7%, 8% body fat.
Yeah.
And I'd look at these guys and I'm like, well, I was 31% body fat when I started, and now I'm like 8%, 8.2% yesterday.
Yeah, it's good work.
But I never went on a diet. I just you just see like other people around you that are like, well, what are other people that are like, training hard and look fit and like living a good lifestyle? Like, what are they eating? Like, all right,
Yeah.
maybe I don't need that extra baked potato. Maybe I don't need all that fried shit, etc.
It's good though.
Yeah, I like it too. I was never addicted to ice cream or something, but
I love
fried
sweets.
potatoes. Fried potatoes got me. But yeah, man, the martial arts stuff helped me turn that around a lot. You just put in a lot of effort, and
Having fun. You don't even know you're losing weight.
it felt that way. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
you
over
never know.
time, you get little injuries and soreness and all the things that everybody has. But yeah, I know. I found it like very fulfilling. I see how somebody, if I would have done that at a younger age, I see the temptation that if you were good enough that you wanted to go do some gangster shit like you're doing. And
Yeah. Shit, I've never even looked at it like that. It's just been just like wrestling, just competition. Me or them. I love it. That's my favorite part.
that's the word you keep using is competition. You
Yeah,
just
it's
have
a
that
sport.
competitive spirit.
It's a sport to me. It's, yeah, fun. I love it. The adrenaline. It's different than any other sport that I've done, but I think it's a sport.
I get distracted talking about this part, but yeah, the finding synergies between like business things and other things that you like to do, I found that to be quite useful. That
Yeah.
even what we're doing right now is like it's good marketing and promotion for my business. But I got to meet a lot of cool people from your industry and other spaces that I want to do. And
It's a busy week this week.
yeah, I got
Crazy out there.
I know you got plenty of events
So many
and
people, yeah.
people chasing you down
Yeah, I
for an
love it.
autograph.
I love it.
I got 5 interviews just today, a couple more tomorrow. So I had like 7 interviews in 25 hours. So plenty of talking for me.
That's a lot.
It is. It is. I like it though. But what do you think about the current culture where like, there's a lot of people out there that they like excuses more than they like outcomes, or they don't necessarily, they want results overnight. They don't necessarily want to do the work to get the results, but everybody likes results, but they don't like to do that work.
Yeah, I mean,
That seems pretty damn pervasive at the moment. What do you
Yeah,
think
I
the
think,
outcome's going to be for those people?
I mean, I was lucky enough to have parents that, just worked their ass off. Both my dad did 37 years in the mine. My mom worked for the United States Postal Service for 36 years, and they didn't like it sometimes, but they always were on time. They were always the hardest workers. They always stood out, and they were always well respected amongst their peers and their superiors. And they took pride in that. I learned that from them, and I think that's something that a lot of people possess. Some people, at times lose focus and kind of, don't understand how that important is to being a part of a team, or something like that, and they become selfish. But I learned from my parents that you always have to, respect yourself and respect the people that you work around and work with, to bust your ass. And that's why I've got to where I'm at. I think that's why, that's how you stand out, above and beyond, your peers. And then, obviously things don't happen overnight. So when you work your ass off, you do the right things for 2, 3, 4 years, and you don't see shit come from it, it's easy to lose, inspiration and still be that person. But it does pay off in the long run. I tell kids often, it's hard for me to speak to adults, but I just think of me as a kid, and I just try to tell them that the more days you go in a row with making good decisions, you're gonna make dumb decisions, but from now until you're 30, the more days that you can have, good days, good decisions, positive thoughts, positive actions, the better place you're gonna be, and you will be someone that you want to be in 30 years if you take control of that now, and are accountable to yourself. And that's the message I try to spread to kids, and that's why I think it's a simple message. Be accountable. Look out for others. Be part of a team. Respect your work ethic. Respect other people, and you'll go wherever you want to be. One of my quotes is, I think parents should tell their kids they could be anything they want, but they should also explain to them what that takes, and what the actions that you must take to be whatever you want to be, and the fortitude, the failures, that you're going to experience along the way. Those are something that you can't be broken by. You have to overcome and persevere.
I think that's great, great feedback, or a great structure for a young person to put in their head.
Yeah.
Like, there's a limitation to what you can get done this weekend, but if you're willing to keep that momentum and keep working, like you could do an awful lot more in a year than most people think you can.
Yeah. You want to change the world, cause ripples in your immediate circle, and that's all you can do.
I mean, that's a great. This changed the world. Everybody, there's a lot of activists out there, and everybody wants to support whatever the popular thing is, but they probably don't even know what the hell it is. But they want to support something or be an activist. That, if you can't influence yourself to go do responsible shit, if you can't influence yourself to go do the things you're supposed to do, how the hell are you supposed to change the world in any meaningful, in any positive way?
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah. For me, it's every interaction, make it a positive one. Don't take advantage of situations. These are every situation, every instance throughout the day, not tomorrow or where I'm going to get, or, and I look out for myself. I try to, I'm competitive. I try to win, but it's not through life necessarily. It's in sports and stuff like that. But, I went to school for human services. I love helping people. I love, now I get to inspire people from across the world. That's my favorite part about me coming into this fame and fortune that I've been blessed with. That's my favorite part.
Not leg kicking people and other
That
comments?
part's fun too. Yeah, especially like today I did a meet and greet. Got to kick at least 6 people, so that was fun. It's my job.
Kicking enthusiastic fans. That,
I wanted to inspire people. I wanted to help the youth. Now I get to inspire the youth through violence, which is a bit of an oxymoron, but they see my effort, and once they understand it's a sport, I love what I do. We love what we do, and we work our ass off. Then I think it's inspirational.
You have a family yet?
No, I don't have wife, kids. I have a big family. I have a twin brother, 2 sisters. I have 7 nieces, 2 nephews.
Oh shit.
My mom's one of 9, so I have probably 50 first cousins on her side. Big family, but no wife, no kids. My grandparents, both over 55 years, parents over 30 years, brother over 12 years, sister, 12 years. My family gets married with their first love, and I took the train station out of town.
I've never been married. I'm never going to be married, but I'm happy with the long-term girlfriend.
Yeah,
I like that. I don't need a contract for us to like each other.
I don't know what the future holds there. It's something that I wanted as a kid. I want kids. But yeah, living alone isn't terrible. I'll tell you that. It's really quiet.
I imagine you don't have a very hard time getting a date if you want one. You'll be okay.
Too much energy. Stay at home by myself. Easy.
What are the next things on the horizon for you? So realistic. I mean, you had some real wars, but you fought all the top guys. You won a lot. You lost a couple.
I mean, we're all on a timeline for everything. This is not the beginning. It's certainly towards the end. I've loved it's gone so fast. That's the worst part is how fast it's gone. But yeah, it's not over. I know it's not over. Like I said, I still want to compete. I still love, the adrenaline that fighting brings me. Being in the spotlight and in the center of the arena is, a special feeling that I'll always miss even when I'm done. But I miss it now, and I ain't done yet. So I'm not sure what the future holds. I just know that I will fight again. For me, I don't have a certain number of fights. I don't have a certain amount of time. I think it's obviously whenever, my ability to attain a championship is gone. And if I ever get knocked out again like I just did, I would probably call it quits. 100%. My mom would kill me if I didn't.
What are your thoughts about that? So you became one of the big stars of UFC 300.
Yeah.
The highlight reel got played again and again and again.
Oh, it's still going to get played. Yeah, it's part of the game. I mean,
you feeling okay? What's the recovery time for something like that? Physically and psychologically.
Yeah, I mean, psychologically, time will tell. But I mean, I've been here before. Never knocked out, but I've lost. Losing sucks, especially when you're as competitive as we are. Chronically, as far as medically, nobody knows. I think the humans, I'm not a doctor. You guys know I'm not nearly smart enough to even talk about this. So I have no idea. I know that the human body is resilient. I know that our sport is more violent, but not as dangerous as football or boxing. And I do what I can to take care and put into my body the clean ingredients and the type of things that I hope that can help me in the long run, when it comes to recovering from things like that. But time will tell with that. Obviously I'm not smart enough to know. But I think, with time, the human body is resilient, and, it does recover. But if I was to go in there and, get another TBI in, 90 to 180 days after that one, then I think that would be detrimental. So I'm not going to do that.
In that fight, and I'm just going from memory, I watched it on pay-per-view. I wasn't able to be in town here at the time. The way that I remember it, end of the first round, you kind of had was it a knee?
No, it was a spinning back kick.
Oh, a spinning back kick.
Yeah, caught me right on the top of the nose, gave me a bloody nose.
Was your nose broken at the time?
Did I know?
No, I said, was your nose broken at the time?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought
in hindsight, I found out it was.
At first, I thought it just hit your chest, and I was picturing it correctly. But at first, I thought he just got hit in the chest.
Yeah, it was such a small, short distance that it was crazy that it got through, but it did.
You went over to the fence and kind of put your hands on the fence for a second. That's how I remember it. This might not be factually true, but that's how I remember it. Just watching it that one time, and I'm like, oh, he actually got I think he got his nose broken, and if I remember right, then the next round maybe you get an eye poke, another eye poke or something. Something happened where if you wanted to, you kind of could have bitched out of that, and a lot of people would have. And I see people quit sometimes, and and kind of the point that I'm making is like, if you didn't have a broken nose in the first round, that fight could be very, very different.
Well, I think if you play that's why we love our sport so much, because anything, any moment. I think if you play the fight 10 times, something different happens every time.
Sure.
That's how awesome this sport is.
Sure.
That's how close a lot of us are, when it comes to skills. It comes to being on point in a very, very small amount. Like we're talking 15 minutes, 25 minutes in time. It's a very short amount of time.
Okay. The point that the note that I made in my head, about you, and I think other intelligent people that watch that is very honorable that you got a kind of a shitty fluke injury at the last second of the first round.
Yeah.
And you could have got out of there, but like, oh, I can't see, or and had a medical stoppage or whatever it would have been, or whatever I'm sorry, no contest maybe it's called.
Yeah. Not even for a split second did that cross my mind.
No, I believe that.
I'm in there just competing.
But I think that your reputation is very well intact. That when you say, "Oh, maybe one more fight and I could get a title shut again," I'm like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense because a lot of people respect you that way.
Yeah.
You're a real warrior, and a lot of guys might quit if they had the opportunity at that moment.
Yeah, I'm hoping. I'm still, I think it'd be, it's going to be very difficult, but if I was able to attain that championship, I think, the inspirational story that it would be for so many people across the world that have been on my journey with me, watched it, would be amazing. So I'm working hard to make that happen, and, if so, it'd be great. But if not, I'll still try my hardest to make it happen.
What are the thought processes in your head that it might seem normal to you, but it might be one of those inspirational moments to somebody else that sees this, that when you say you have that moment that somebody might quit there or back out, and I don't want to say anybody's name, but I've seen a couple people do that at UFC fights where they tapped the last second that they could have continued into the second round, but they're like, oh, I don't think it's going to go good for me, so let me just get out of here right now. Or they get one of those eye pokes. There's a fella recently that had one of those eye pokes, and which was kind of a weak quit, in my opinion. It looked that way to me.
Yeah, I think...
You're not that type of character. So what makes the difference in psychology is somebody that's resilient and persistent and wants to go in there and fight those battles?
Well, I think, when I go in there, I'm looking to be my best. I'm never looking for an excuse, or I'm not even looking for an injury they have to be able to take advantage of that. I want them to be their best. I want to compete against the best opponent that I can. I want to be my best, and I want to, to persevere and overcome through that. When you go into a situation like that and you're looking for, ways to cheat or ways to, for the easy route, I've never, looked for the easy route. You look for the hard route, and overcoming the hard route is so much more, so much better of a feeling, especially when you know what it took. And a lot of it had to do with you making certain choices, certain sacrifices, and then there's no reason to choose to be the victim of any situation, because if you're not winning, then you're not prepared, and if you've won, then you deserve you deserve this because of your preparation and hard work. So I think just never looking for an excuse to get out of a situation that I have accepted fully.
Royce Gracie says something like this. Royce has become a friend over time, and he was at my place 2 weeks ago. We were training together for 4 days. And he makes a comment somewhat frequently. He says, his father had taught him early on that he's like, if you win a fight, he's like, why are you celebrating in front of your opponent, or why are you trying to say, are you surprised? If you did your training right, you were supposed to win.
Yeah.
If you did the right preparation, you were supposed to win. And so there's no need to rub it in their face that they lost. And it also doesn't do you a favor to look surprised that you got a victory when, again, if you did your preparation correctly, as you mentioned, you're supposed to win.
Fighting is so different and so primal, though. It's impossible to not show that emotion. I'm back off a fucking cage, so when I win. And it's because I'm so excited I won. And I worked so hard and sacrificed so much that the feeling that I'm feeling is just incredible. So I'm not able to hide it. So, but I do agree. But in wrestling, that was a very common practice, was to not celebrate in front of you, not showboat and be more respectful. But man, fighting is just too primal. Okay. It's hard.
The way I hear you talk about it, maybe that's more of a perspective that it's a celebration that your hard work paid off, and it's a celebration of the effort that you made more than an insult in some way to your opponent.
Yeah, there's nothing to do. I know how obviously they feel. That's not fun, but I know how happy my family is. I know how proud my coaches are. And that feels good. Yeah.
What do you tell a young person out there that's on the fence of, making those serious efforts in life to do whatever they want to do to accomplish something serious versus, slack off and just be some guy, just some average somebody?
Yeah, I mean, I think we all come from somewhere, so that's not what matters. And I think it's your personal choices, your ability to be, self-accountable. And I think those are the things that, not being from somewhere, it doesn't matter. Every one of us has the ability to control our actions. And I think if you can take control of that, make them positive, and work towards something, as early as possible, then the chances that you're going to succeed are so much higher than, waiting, I don't know, like being lazy. It's weird because there's a trillion, not trillion, there's 7.86 billion different ways to do this. Every individual has to find their own way, but it has to be from self-accountability, controlling your actions and being in control of your thoughts and emotions. I always tell people, don't let people or things control what you think or feel about yourself, especially negative things. You can always take positive things from people and situations, but you can definitely not take negativity from, negative feelings from people or things. That helps me, control myself in different situations. So simple things like that, which sounds simple to me.
I think the simple things over time, the accumulation of those, I think to be very successful at anything, you're going to have to do like boring things repetitively.
Yeah, my life is boring. It's really boring. I don't go out. And I was a kid. I was in college. I did dumb things, but as soon, I don't do that as much as possible. I was always the boring one. And sometimes you have to be the boring one to be what you want to be.
I think that boring, you have a lot of exciting outcomes later in life if you're willing to do that for a while.
Experience some of the most amazing things a person can experience in life. Like I could win the lottery, and I don't think I would be nearly as happy as putting someone to sleep in front of 20,000 people after working my ass off to be ready for a situation. It's just something that is unmatched. And yeah, it's probably why a lot of us don't quit.
I grew up pretty shit, and I focused forever. I mean, my first entrepreneurial money when I was 7, and I just continued that process throughout life. And I'm 45 at the moment. And at one time when I thought like, well, you got more money than you ever thought you'd have, and like, what are the other things you'd like to do with your life before you're dead? And then I started focusing more on martial arts stuff, but 'cause I need like a tough project to kind of feel happy. Yeah. But the lottery comment you make, because I walk through the airport frequently, and you see the lotto either on the way on the expressway. Sometimes I see a sign, or at the airport you see what the jackpot amounts are, and I already got more money than you'd make in most lotteries. I mean, there's a Powerball once in a while; it's $1 billion or something, and I'm not doing that well. But a lot of the numbers I see on there, I'm just like no shit, you made more than you did. The people say win the lottery like it's a lot of money, and I'm like, I never bought a lottery ticket in my life, man. I just did the work. I just focused. Like, what else could I do better? What else could I do better? I bought some lottery tickets. And those boring things, that thought process of what could I do better? What am I missing? What am I missing? What else can I do? What else can I do? An obsession about trying to make things incrementally better. You do that over time, and in any endeavor, you're going to get a lot better on the things you focus on.
Yep.
And if you're not willing to do that, then you should expect shitty results compared to the people who did that, the people that paid that price or, made that effort. And I think I'm talking to the audience more than I am to you, but I'm curious if you have any difference of opinion. But for me, those so-called boring things is like, it wasn't boring because my brain was excited that I know I was doing the things that was going to lead to get me any damn thing I wanted in life.
Yeah.
And I was very excited about that. And I mean, if I won the money in the lottery instead of earning it the way I did, I'd probably find a way to mess it up.
I'm sure you would.
And instead, I feel, this is normal. It's normal. First of all, the government takes about 60-something% of that.
Money
you
earned
get the third.
Is money.
Yeah.
Money earned is something special.
And about it. The things that you did, there's a lot of those things money can't buy. That they're it's such a unique lifestyle and very unique experiences that you've had. But again, it's a culmination of preparing from an early age, doing things that were uncomfortable and difficult that other people would be too lazy to do.
I was lucky, again, My twin brother, bought and sold 2, 3 houses. I was living on the ground, trying to fight. So I was just lucky to make it. If not, I mean, this is not the, I was lucky. I worked my ass off. This is amazing. But this was always plan B. Plan A was go to college, get a job, stability. So yeah. Again, a billion different ways to do it. I would prefer stable options. Those are always good. Good, nice job. No, everyone wants to be something crazy like influencer and all this shit, but that ain't hard work. And again, you'll never appreciate that money when it comes, and it ain't gonna come forever, and you're gonna be when it's gone.
The vast majority of those influencers don't have any money. If I
I know.
If there's somebody that has, I got a few million followers on Instagram, you probably do too. But if there's some influencer person that I'm interested in spending time with, like if I invite them to dinner, I make sure to let them know that I'll pay for the dinner, because that might influence their decision. Because some of them don't have money to pay for a nice dinner, so
Yeah.
it's that bad. So, it's just a facade, I think the things that you did are real. The things that I did are real.
It's just distracting, kids from pursuing real, things that are more difficult. Like where I come from, we have a copper mine. Those guys, I worked in there for one summer. It was $14 an hour. I worked 7 days a week, 12-hour days, but hour back and forth, so 7 14s. I would have made like $140,000 my first year out of high school if I would have done that just for 1 year, and then you can, go do a regular job. But I mean, if you want to work, there is success and opportunity out there. There's no doubt about it, especially in this great country.
3 things came to mind. You say that, and wrap up in a moment. But I think this still is the greatest country. That I've traveled everywhere. I've been 65 countries, 66 countries, and I'm sure you've been to all around the world.
I've been to quite a few. What thing that stands out always is how much good, and how many good people there are. I think just like social media, like our Twitter, it's always that one negative comment that we read and respond to, when the vast majority is positivity and good, and those loud people are the negativity, and we just, for some reason, as humans, we're defensive. It's natural to why we're still alive today. But yeah, I think there's so much good. That's what I realize and notice and understand the more I travel. That's my favorite part. There's a lot of good out there.
I've thought about this as maybe a unorthodox way of looking at the world, but I've had similar thoughts where, like, you go all around the world. I've been more than 20 times to Asia, 10 times to Australia, a couple times to Africa, dozens of times to Europe. And the things that we're doing, you get in a jet, you're on the other side of anywhere in the world. In a day's time, you can be anywhere on Earth. And in a different time in history, you would be eaten by cannibals or something when you got there.
Yeah, there'd be a lot you would never meet.
Actually. And because of the commercial transportation, that you could take a boat, you could take a jet, you can go anywhere on Earth. People are generally relatively cooperative. That they don't eat you. They don't. I mean, there's places you go that you're going to get robbed or bad things are going to happen. And
I think we're still moving in the right direction.
But I agree with you.
Evolution of the humans. We've come a long ways.
150 years ago, if you went to 100 years ago, if you went to New Zealand, you might get eaten.
You probably would.
Like, actually. So.
Yeah, we've come a long ways. It's awesome. I love traveling.
I've thought about the commercial transportation and trade between nations, trade between people. Capitalism solves a lot of problems. You don't tend to kill your trading partners. You don't tend to eat your trading partners. So, the more people that you could find cooperative relationships, the better both of their lives. It literally makes the world a better place. And I hear these other philosophies of get rich quick or try to avoid the work. It's the opposite thought. It's like you're literally making the world a better place and being a better person when you're willing to do tough things, when you're willing to do things that inspire other people to be better. And you make your life better and you make the world a better place. I asked your interim champion at UFC, and I've asked, 300 or so champions over time of various sports. Did you ever see anybody with a Super Bowl ring or an Olympic medal or one of those fancy UFC belts like that? You ever see anybody with a trophy above their head and that universal sign of victory that didn't have a great coach or a great mentor or somebody that helped them along the way? You know,
No.
anybody that just did that by themselves?
Yeah, no, I mean, your support system is huge.
Yeah.
Again, I was blessed with such a loving and supportive family that I think that's a huge part of why, you know, I've come as far as I've come, whether it be your family, your coaches, your mentors, teachers. But yeah, I think it definitely takes a positive, you know, group of people around you to become something to great and to believe in they deserve something, you know, like that. So yeah.
Yeah, I've never seen anybody do it by themselves. If you were smart enough to accomplish your goals already, if you're smart enough to accomplish your biggest goals by yourself, you would have done it already.
Genius.
And you know, if you could possibly accomplish your current goals by yourself, then you need bigger goals. But you know, coaches, teachers, mentors sure help a lot, and having the right team and people that hold you accountable and inspire you to do better. So, hey, thank you for coming through. I appreciate
Absolutely.
you spending some time, man.
Yeah, it's great.
You're a great man, tough dude, and
Couple screws loose,
respect.
but I love it.
Everybody interesting has a couple screws loose.
That's true.
Thanks for coming,
Awesome.
man.
Hell yeah, thanks for having me.
You watch this video all the way through, and that tells me you're dedicated to learning more and earning far above average outcomes in your life. Congratulations for that. But now it's time to take action. If you could have earned those results by yourself, you would have done it already. My head coach has opened up a few spots on his high-demand calendar for an in-person, one-on-one strategy session to help you. On this call, we'll give you the pragmatic advice that you can implement tonight to get laser-focused on the right metrics and leave mediocrity far behind in your past. Click that link right now in the description below and apply for your call immediately. Do it now.